All right. So, what we wanted to start with is the conversation that's sort of happening right now all across the country and even around the world. All of a sudden, people are starting to realize just how hard teaching is. And we have some notable communiques around that subject. My personal favorite is in the bottom right. As someone with children we are schooling here, that's a terrifying prospect, and we we want to make sure that that even though we are in challenging times, education is still important to all of us. And this we wanted to start the conversation with because the narrative is changing. Teaching is starting to get the recognition that it deserves because people are having to do it themselves. And they're realizing, hey, this isn't the sort of thing just anyone can do. Maybe there are special skills and dispositions and tools that will be required to do this really well. But people are also starting to discover that teaching is more than just the transfer of knowledge. And we wanted to actually, we wanted to play a clip excuse me, from a video for you with someone talking about that because we're seeing a lot of people realizing that, you know, lesson plans and content knowledge and all this sort of stuff, the things that people associate with everyday teaching, that's hard. But people are also starting to realize that's not all teaching is. There's a lot more to this work. And I'm going to let Mr. Sterling K. Brown take it from here.
I know. One of the greatest gifts you can give to anyone is the gift of your presence. And that's exactly what Barbara Bull gave to me. Mrs. B was my high school advisor and middle school algebra teacher. She wasn't just good at her job, she was passionate about it. And not just for her subject matter, but for the students that she taught as well. At her office hours, which she routinely held for about 2 hours every day after school, she loved to see her students go from that huh to that moment, and would patiently guide you along that path until you reached your destination. Mrs. Bull was an early riser. When she was 59 years young, she would swim a mile every day before school began. She was from San Francisco and walked the halls of St. Louis Country Day School with a swagger that no one else could even come close to. She wore beautiful scarves, dope-ass glasses, and a slightly unsensible heel. And like a delighted Pavlovian dog, a quiet smile would cross my countenance as I heard the clickety-clack of my favorite teacher approach the room. Mrs. Bull was that first adult who spoke to me about life. When most folks in my family didn't like to discuss finances, I don't know if you noticed, black folks don't like to talk about money. Mrs. Bull would holler at your boy about the stock market and how she was able to double her income by playing it. I haven't quite been that successful as of yet. While I was afraid to go anywhere where I couldn't speak the language, she shared with me her passion for travel, both within the United States and internationally, and how exposure to different cultures expanded her worldview. And in a society where very few are authentic with young people about the complexities of adult life, Mrs. B would frankly discuss the difficulties of her marriage in a way that hopefully would help me avoid duplicating similar negative circumstances that she was then navigating with her husband at the time. She came to every football game. She came to every basketball game, at least the ones that didn't conflict with her office hours. She came to every play. Hold on a second. She gave me nothing but encouragement in anything that I chose to explore. And I was always so happy to see her, that she cared enough to be there, to be present. The first time I dunked a basketball, I ran through the school until I found Mrs. Bull. Mrs. Bull, I did it! I dunked, baby! She was like, very good, Kelby. Good for you. When I got 100 on my geometry test sophomore year, or 100 on my BC calculus test senior year, the first person I had to tell was Mrs. B, I like to keep it 100 for her. Mrs. Bull loved Apple computers. And outside of my brief initial relationship with my Dell Inspiron 6000, I was frugal, y'all. I rocks apples. Mrs. Bull drove nothing but Audis. I drive a Volkswagen. I don't like the Peacock quite so much, but it's the same family. Side note, please fix the diesel and bring it back to the United States. I'm trying to be green. Trying to be green. I remember asking Mrs. B in the 9th grade where she went to school. Now I remember thinking to myself, if I could kind of set myself on the same trajectory as this woman, maybe I have the opportunity to live an extraordinary life as well. She said, I went to Stanford. I said, I think we're gonna go there. And she said, well, you have to work hard. I said, okay. I went to Stanford. Mrs. B is now 83 years young. She has been retired for some time now, but she still rises early every morning for her daily mile swim. It was never necessary for Mrs. Bull to tell me what she believed. She was never inclined to preach to me or mandate that I see the world through the same prism as herself. She simply led a life well lived. And in walking the walk, she influenced the trajectory of my life in ways she and I could never have imagined. She filled me up with so much love. I felt like I could run through a brick wall, and I wanted to do it for her. To Barbara Jenkins Bull, now Krause, thank you for sharing your divinity with me.
The reason we wanted to start our conversation tonight with that video is because we've got a feeling that's why you're here tonight. Not to teach math, not to teach science, not to teach social studies, but to connect with young people, to help learners become themselves, and that the joy of that discovery. That's a huge part of what teaching is. And that's what so many people are starting to realize. And that's what we want you to be able to do through our program. So we're gonna shift gears a little bit. We're gonna talk about some of the more nuts and bolts stuff, but we can always come back to questions about the teaching profession, the practice, the why. But here's the how. If you complete our program and want to go into the profession, we want to make sure that you get to go do it. If you come into our program, you're going to work hard. You're going to put in a lot of time and effort and energy, and we want to make sure that's rewarded with a classroom that has your name on the door. So our career services team is dedicated to that transition from the program to the profession, and they will be a resource for you all the way through our program. It's not the sort of thing where we introduce you to them a week before you graduate. They are there, you can connect with them, and they want to make sure that you are successful when you are in the job hunt, because you can't do great teaching if you're not out there doing it. So that's really important to us, and our career services team is top notch. So how can you get a teaching certificate through our school? We have elementary and secondary certificates. An elementary certificate covers grades pre-K through 6th in all subjects. A secondary certificate covers grades 6 through 12 in specific subject areas. And we do encourage you to think of that choice as sort of a fork in the road. You can always double back and go the other way later, but you have to choose one of these directions first. So these two cannot be earned concurrently. So if you're not sure yet, this is a great place to start your decision making, elementary versus secondary. Now, each of our programs are focused on one of those pathways. So our elementary undergraduate program is 4 semesters long. We call these programs our professional sequences, and the elementary professional sequence always begins in a fall semester. And you'll notice just from looking at it, that's longer than the secondary program. The reason for that is because we have to teach you how to teach more things. An elementary teacher needs to know a little bit about a lot of stuff, and you need to know how to teach all subjects. And that means we have to focus on building those dispositions over the course of the program. The secondary program is a 3-semester sequence that always begins in a winter semester. The reason our professional sequence is shorter is because we need to give you more time to become an expert in your subject area. And then we get to focus on teaching you how to teach your subject. So thoughtfully made programs for the specific skills at those age levels. But we've got both. And that's going to be true all the way through. So if you are interested in joining our program at the undergraduate level, there's 3 options. The first is to earn your degree from the School of Education, and that option is available to people who are interested in elementary and secondary certification. The second option is to earn your degree from LS&A and add a certificate through our program. That option is currently available to secondary students. And the final option is to earn 2 degrees, earn a degree from LS&A and a degree from the School of Education. That option is currently available to secondary students. How you apply to the program, regardless of your selection here, the exact same. This is just one drop-down box on the application. So you'll choose one of those options. That's the only thing that'll be different about your process for applying to the program. Now, the application itself, if you're wondering whether or not this is the right time to apply, these are the numbers. If you'll have 54 credits by fall of 2021, the time to apply is by March 1st of this year. That's when our application closes for this cycle. So in order to be admitted as a student in the School of Education for the fall semester, March 1st is when you want to apply using the cross-campus transfer application. If you do not have 54 credits right now, no problem. You just need 54 credits before the fall. The reason for that is that's considered junior standing at the university. And we can help you make sure that you're getting past that threshold. For instance, if you're going to come up a little short, let's have a conversation about that. We can make sure to figure out either ways to connect you to spring and summer coursework, or maybe we can bring in credits from other institutions you've attended. We want to make sure that everything is being counted, that we can apply towards that number. So those are the key numbers and dates. 54 credits by fall 2021. You should apply by March 1st using the cross-campus transfer application. So if you are saying to yourself, I'm not interested in the undergraduate program, or it's too late for me to participate in the undergraduate program, no problem, because we have our MAC programs. The School of Education has a 1-year Master's Plus Certification program that is a great option for current seniors. If you are recently discovering an interest in education, but you are close to graduating, this program starts every June. And it runs for 12 months full-time until the following June. So you could graduate, take a few weeks off, enjoy, and then jump right into our program, and then 12 months later have a master's in education studies and a teaching certificate. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I said we have those options of elementary versus secondary all the way through, because our MAC programs are also available for both of those pathways. We have LMAC and SECMAC. And so those programs are the same structure, 1 year, June to June. And for both of those programs, the application deadline is April 1st. So there is still time to apply to one of those programs if that seems like the fit for you. Other things going on at the School of Ed. We have got all sorts of stuff happening. And I don't want to spend too much time on these in case we have a lot of questions. So I'll go through them pretty quickly, but if anybody wants to come back to these, I am happy to do so. And so please don't mistake my speed for a lack of enthusiasm. I am very excited about all of these. And this one is really huge because the ESL endorsement, English as a second language, is now available to everyone in one of our educator preparation programs. This is really exciting for us because it used to only be available to one very specific part of our programs. Now, anyone who's earning a teaching certificate through our school can add an ESL endorsement. So that's something we're very excited about. We're also offering an IB certificate. If you're not familiar with IB, it's short for International Baccalaureate. It's often compared to AP, but it's a lot more than AP in that IB it's not just a class. It's more like a curriculum. It's more like a way of schooling. And it's very popular globally. It's growing in popularity in the United States. And if you want to be certified to teach in an IB school, you can earn that certificate as a part of our program. This is currently only available to secondary students, but we are always working on expanding our offerings, as you just saw with the ESL endorsement. Also new to our school is the Ed Minor. Its full name is Education for Empowerment, but Ed Minor is what you'll most likely hear it referred to as internally. The Ed Minor is a 15 credit minor that almost anyone at the University of Michigan can add. So you do not need to be a student in one of our programs to participate in the Ed Minor. It's really intended to bring you into those conversations about education. So if you have a passion for education and education issues, but don't necessarily see yourself as a classroom teacher, the Ed Minor can be a great fit for you. So basically the way this works, there are 3 pathways. You'll choose one of those to focus on. You'll meet with an advisor in the School of Education, and they'll help you build a program around the requirements to make sure that you're meeting those requirements that are listed here on this sheet, and getting a powerful experience that actually culminates in a capstone course that's taught by the Dean of the School of Education. So you get to run it right up to the top with the Ed Minor. Excuse me. And that actually brings us to the meat and potatoes for tonight, your questions. I'm happy to go back to anything we've talked about so far. I know we moved through it pretty quickly, but tonight we want to make sure that your questions about the application are being answered. So the floor is yours. Feel free to drop your questions into the chat or to unmute, whatever you're more comfortable with. We are ready. What you're experiencing right now is called wait time. And it's something that as a teacher, you'll get very comfortable with.
Okay, we got a question here about do you need a declared major prior to applying for this certification if you're pursuing secondary? And that's a great question. You do not have to have a declared major. And I'm glad you asked this question because it helps to clarify something else. You do not have to technically major in the content area that you're seeking to get an endorsement in. So let's say you really wanted to be an English teacher, but you were kind of thinking about majoring in psychology. Well, you can major in psychology, and then as long as you're fulfilling the 20 credits for the English endorsement, you can still apply for the School of Education. You could add that certification to your degree that you're pursuing, like let's just say in psychology. And as long as you're meeting the requirements for both, then you don't have to major in the subject that you are thinking about teaching, but you are, of course, able to do so if that is of your interest. And that's something that our academic advisors can be really helpful in helping you navigate, is planning your schedule around so that you can make sure you can fit things in on the timeline that you're seeking. And then we have another question about, can the elementary education degree be taken with another LSA major? So a note about that, the elementary program recently changed the standards, like the state of Michigan Department of Education has recently done a regrade banding, and it's been of great benefit for people who are considering going into elementary education, because a lot of the classes that used to be required outside of the program are now kind of woven in and built into the program, which means there's less for you to do on the front end. So that's like a long way of saying you have more space in your schedule now. But since this just happened this year, we haven't quite gotten all of the things ironed out to being able to ensure that it can be done as a dual degree or as an added on part of the program. So it's quite likely we do actually have someone who's currently earning a dual degree in elementary education and an LS&A. It's just that since elementary teachers learn how to teach all content areas, as Tim mentioned earlier, their program is a little bit longer. It's 4 semesters instead of 3 semesters. So it would just take some careful planning with your schedule, but it very much could be an option. And again, that's just something that we would request that you sat down or Zoomed with one of our academic advisors, Sarah or Angela, and they can help you figure your schedule out and see if that's a possibility. And Olivia just dropped the academic advising link into the chat. Everyone's is welcome to schedule appointments with Angela and Sarah. They're really great and are super helpful to all of our students. Well, one other thing I will mention about the application. So on the screen, you're able to see the application checklist. And so we lay this out for you so that it can be pretty straightforward. We do recommend that you look at the essay prompts, particularly the essay prompt number 1, which is like us getting to learn a little bit about where your commitment to teaching is coming from and maybe where you see yourself teaching. Essay prompt number 2 isn't really an essay, the secret. It used to be a resume requirement, and we found that a lot of students were spending so much time trying to deal with like formatting of the resume and perfecting those technicalities. And really what we wanted to glean was the experiences that you've had working with youth or volunteering, or even working in other positions that might be servicing the community. And so I encourage you not to think of it as an essay so much, but really just a grab of getting to know a little bit about some of the things that you've done. Another thing is, this is a homegrown system, this cross-campus application. So it is a little wonky and it won't let you save once you start it. So that's why we recommend kind of getting your essay typed out prior to going to the link to submit it. So that way you can kind of have everything ready and just dump it into the application itself. If you do make a mistake, you can just start a new one. It's not the end of the world. People do it often, but just wanted you to know that it's not like the Common Application or the Coalition application where you can save and return as many times as you like. And another note about the application requirements is you'll notice that there's 2 letters of recommendation required. Ideally, one of those is an academic letter and one is what we call the teaching potential letter, which is sort of like a character reference. Ideally, that one would be coming from someone who's observed you working with youth to some capacity. However, if you've volunteered with other populations, we're being a lot more flexible, particularly this year in this past 10 and 11 months we're approaching of COVID. We know that experiences have been limited. We know that interactions with instructors and faculty members have been limited. So if you have questions about that, you can reach out to us directly. If you end up having two of one of the same kind, it's likely we're going to be okay with that. But if you at all are concerned, we're happy to talk to you about that at an individual level. But we do even have a little disclaimer here that's saying, we are being a lot more flexible given the state of the world right now. And just again here, you can see this is the link that Olivia had already dropped in to meet with Sarah or Angela. And if you would like to talk to Tim or I, you could also schedule an appointment with us and we can kind of help you figure out which route might be better for you, or we could talk more in depthly about a program that you might be interested in. And let's see, we've got another question.
Yeah, so we have a question asking if someone has completed their undergrad and sort of enters the professional world in a non-education field, can they come back to grad school to become a teacher? The answer is yes. That's actually who the MAC program is made for. So the one-year Master's Plus Certification program is actually designed for career changers. And so the bulk of students who are participating in that are you basically, you just typed them out right there. They have a little bit of distance between their undergraduate and they're joining this program, and they want to sort of switch the tracks. They tried this and they realized they want education. So the MAC program is designed to do exactly that, help people come back and train to go right into the profession. So if you or anyone you know is in that circumstance, the MAC program is a great option. So we have a question about whether or not students at Ford can get a teaching certificate. Generally speaking, the add cert option does allow you to remain in a home unit. That unit is most typically LS&A, but we can look into building a plan for you. It's really going to depend on Ford's requirements and whether or not they would conflict with our professional sequence, because the professional sequence is a set curriculum. The one thing it is not is flexible when it comes to scheduling. Basically, you will just be told, here are your classes. They are at times X, Y, and Z, and during hours A, B, and C, you will be in the field. And so it's a matter of determining how that all fits together. And that's a great conversation to have with the academic advisors. And the link to meet with them is up above. If generally speaking, whenever you have questions about coursework and scheduling, the advisors are terrific resources. When you have questions about the program or the application or the profession in general, that's where Katie and I are probably the most helpful. But what we want to make sure everybody knows is if you're not sure who to ask, just pick one. And we'll make sure you get connected to the person who has the answers for you. We don't want anybody to get into an analysis paralysis, trying to figure out where their question should go, because we're all here to help you. We all talk to each other literally all day, so don't hesitate to pick a direction and head down it, and we'll make sure you get pointed where you need to go.